Hello, my name is Agnes. Today we are here again at Sizwe podcast. I'm here with my partner today, Patricia.
Hi, my name is Patricia.
And you guys, you don't know what we are talking about today. Today I'm not going to laugh and I'm not going to smile because this is a serious matter I'm going home to fight. Mm-hmm. We are talking about marriage. When I researched, I looked at the Canadian law about marriage rights from the countries that we come from in Africa, predominantly. The law is very silent on how much dowry you pay to the family. I think they respect the marriage between the couple more than what you are giving to the family. But in the countries where we come from, it is not like that. We have come to Canada. Our children have been born here, or we brought them here. They have grown up, and they are almost getting into marriage. And sometimes there are conflicts. Today we bring into our studio one of the best community person I have ever come across, Joseph Lurie. And we are going to have a conversation with him about what is all these things about dowry and how best we can help our young adult in our home to marry from our community. Joseph, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Joseph.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Patricia, I'm going to lynch the two of you about what dowry is, because when we did the background check, mine is so cheap.
Yes.
You guys need to tell me more. What is dowry?
I think it's different according to countries.
Yes.
So it is the bride price. It's mostly, we can say, it's the bride price. What do you think it is? What is it in your own country?
Well, in my country, it is in the most local dialect, it is called Mali.
Mm-hmm. Mali.
Which is also in the Swahili word as wealth. And so...
As wealth?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the bride price, is a symbol of appreciation. Mm-hmm. They don't call it even bride price. They just call it appreciation of you recognizing the parents who have brought up that good girl for you.
Patricia, who pays a dowry?
The dowry is paid by the man who's marrying, but also most of the time the parent of the boy helps him pay the dowry.
You know why I asked that question? Mm-hmm. When I worked in Cyprus, I found out that the payment of the bride price and the dowry lies more predominantly in the woman's family more than the boy. Yes.
Wow.
So
it doesn't work that way in my world.
I bring this up that it is the woman's family who prepares more towards the payments and the whole idea of getting married more than the man. It is the woman who brings the man home. How is that? Because if you are just joining us, this is Sizwe podcast. We are talking about dowry and marriage rights. The reason why we are doing this, it's yesterday, Dr. Elizabeth used a term in our Zoom meeting that people really look at Africans as monolithic.
What does it mean?
They bunch us together when we are about 52 different countries, or maybe 53. And within each country, there are so many differences among the family, clan, and tribes that make it so difficult to say that, oh, you are from Africa, so you pay bride price. Mm-hmm. There are differences of bride price. I am from Ghana. Joseph is from South Sudan. And Patricia
I'm from
is
Zimbabwe.
from Zimbabwe. Take it away, Patricia.
The person who pays the bride price is the man. Because the way we look at it is that this woman is coming, I cannot say an asset, she is coming to grow the family. Yes. Because she comes, she'll go give birth to children. She'll be of service to that family. Yes. Not that she's a worker, but usually you bring kids and the family grows. Because also we say, who has found a woman has found a good thing. Yes. And has found favor.
Yes.
So it is the favor that you bring with you that is coming to this family. That's why we have lobola, and that money is for the woman's family.
Lobola?
Yes, we call it lobola in our...
And Joseph, you call it?
Mali.
And in my dialect, I won't say in Ghana because we have different languages. In my dialect, we call it tinsa, which is head drink. So I am going to the next question. Like we have different types of dowry, and just between the three of us from 3 different countries, I want us to describe each of the type of dowries that we pay. And Patricia, you can start. In your community, what are the symbol or the common idea of what a dowry is?
The common idea of a dowry is cows.
Hey.
If your son wants to marry my daughter, I'll ask you, does your father have cows?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And usually it's between 5 to 10 cows.
Hey, and how much is a cow?
You know, in our side of the world, usually we used to have lots of cows.
Okay.
So it wasn't money, it wasn't in monetary terms, it was cows. So now they do the conversion of the price for the cow. If we say 10 cows, usually it's not more than 10 cows. Though some people now are abusing that.
Yeah.
So it's the cows, and then it's the one cow is specifically for the mother.
Oh.
And then there is a blanket for the mother, and then there's a suit for the father.
Okay.
Those are the things that
That is the core.
Yeah, those are the core
cultural
things.
things that they look
Yes.
for. Okay. What about you, Joseph?
Well, ours is a little different from what happens in Patricia's country. Although it's also the same, it has animals
Oh, okay.
involved. So we also have cows involved, but not as many as that. We only have 3 cows that
Oh,
you got
okay.
to pay. We have 12 goats that you have to pay.
Oh.
So you pay 3 cows
Yeah.
and 12 goats.
12 goats.
Okay, that
And then
must
we
be
have
as 10 cows.
And then we have sheep. So this sheep,
Sheep too?
you are paying a sheep plus a young one. That is a blessing for the culture.
So how many sheep too?
You
sheep
give just one
with a baby.
with the
So you need to buy a sheep that is nursing a baby and bring it.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, guys.
So that is what you give, and then money was not used.
Oh, okay.
But money is used a very small amount that is used for you to secure a seat in that family. Now you become a member of that family. Now you got a seat. So you pay some.
After paying all these
little money.
animals.
Yes, after paying all these animals. There's still more to that. You pay horse as well.
Oh.
For digging, you know. But the thing is, you don't have to pay all these animals by yourself.
Okay.
Actually, the person marrying in the family literally almost has nothing to pay unless he's coming from a completely broken family. Because my father, my uncles, my aunties will contribute.
They should
towards
contribute
this.
towards
They contribute towards this. It is collective. It is not individual.
That makes me feel better. So if the family has a lot of cows and goats, everybody can bring something together.
And what's the particular reason why those things are paid?
The particular reason why dowry is paid is one, it's appreciation. And it is paid in these categories because at the end of the day, when you pay and all these things go across, the aunties and the uncles on the other side are waiting. What here belongs, if this goat belongs to the uncle, that uncle on the other side is going to take his share. If the sheep here belongs to the auntie is going to take her share. It's not going to be that this is for the father-in-law. No, it's all going to go.
Okay,
it's
so
only the two, the one female cow and the one bull that will remain really for the dad, and that money that comes for you to secure your seat. But the rest of the things are supposed to be shared among the relatives.
The aunties and
Yes,
the
the
relatives.
aunties, the uncles, the grandparents, they have their share.
I'm coming. I'm really coming into your community right now. There's a lot of goods there. Guys, I am from Ghana and I am an Akan. So I also say just something small to add to Zimbabwe and South Sudan. In my family, we don't get cows, and I think that's a cheat. I'm really going to transform into a Sudanese right now, so I need 10 cows. But yeah, my family will collect a head drink. That is the literal meaning. A tinsa. like the drink that the man bring to the family to signify that I'm taking your daughter away. The rest is the machete or the cutlass or the guns and everything that the girl's brothers used to protect her until you came to secure that marriage. So you pay something for the girl's brothers, and then you give a gift to the family, which is the father, the mothers. Mostly it is if it is a man with so many wives, you give gifts to the girl's mom and all the other women in the family. And then you give a gift to the bride that you are taking home. Yeah, so for me, it is the head drink, which is, let's say here, you will say maybe champagne or gin. That drink is the significance of the marriage. The father will take that drink and give it to the family head. One day when I run away, my husband's family will come and demand that drink will be returned. And that is when the marriage is annulled. But I'm listening to Joseph and Patricia, and it looks like, no, there's something good in Dowry over there. Thank you. If you just listen to us, this is Sizwe Podcast. My name is Agnes. I'm here with Joseph, Lori, and my co-host Patricia. But today I wanted to say more because I love what she's bringing into the diary. I brought this team here today, and I have said it that our kids are here. Mm-hmm. Now they want to get married. How do we add the cultures that we left back home, which were good, to the cultures that we have found in Canada? That is the core of our message. And this goes to both us and the young adults who want to get married. Joseph, how does it change?
Let me make some clarification. Mm-hmm. The dowry I'm talking about here in South Sudan, it goes from tribe to tribe.
You see, like me, so I can't even talk for all the Ghanaians.
Yes, exactly.
So we are divided into two.
Oh, okay.
One group is the subsistence farmer. So I'm from that group. We have very few cattle, maybe 10, 20. That's for the whole family. But there are the pastoralists who really have hundreds of cattle. Mm-hmm. And so when they marry, you are not going to be paying less than 50. And so sometimes there is competition, and so this girl can be taken and say, these two men, this other man comes from a more richer one, they may give her 75 or 100 cattle. So she gets married into that family.
But is that right?
Wow. So if I have two men who are looking out for me, and then I realize that this man's family will pay about 75, then my family will push me to go for that man, or I will decide that I think this is going to be a very good home with this number of cows.
It becomes a competition. And so that is what happens. But relatively, I would say, compared to the other tribes, mine is cheap.
Hey, wow. With 12 goats.
With 12 goats and
with a sheep and a baby.
Yeah,
and things have changed. Mm-hmm. Things have changed, and people now are charging crazy things. Even in Zimbabwe, we have different tribes. Mm-hmm. I'm talking on behalf of mostly Ndebelers.
Okay.
And we have other tribes. They also charge. They charge differently.
But so, all have cows in it.
Mostly, but now it has changed because not a lot of people have cows.
Okay.
Now they charge on money.
Yeah.
On which is a different story how things have changed. But I think it's still all the same because we still all pay lobola, but now things are complicated.
That is what I want us to bring on board. And guys, maybe we'll not exhaust this topic in this first session. The reason is I want to bring all of us here in Canada and talk about it. Back home, it's all cows. It is changing. Now we've come here with our kids. They are ready to get married. I have young adults in my home. Joseph have, Patricia have. How is it playing out here? Mm-hmm. What are the challenges that we are facing as parents and even the young adults who want to marry? What have you heard? What have you seen?
Very enormous challenges. Mm-hmm. Number one, those who are pastoralists no more have cattle here. Mm-hmm. And so, but they still demand the same amount of cattle. 50 cows
in monetary
monetary fund. And so you are now bound to go into the market, and they ask, how much does one cow cost? If it is 1,000, and then they're asking for 50,000, and then you negotiate because it is money. But at the end of the day, it is not less than 20,000. And so this is resulting into a lot of implications that is challenging our young people. Because if you pay 20,000 or 50,000 for a marriage, and then you also want to do some wedding, you know that you are going to be in debts.
Yes.
And so, again, with the differences in the understanding of dowry and the notion of not giving dowry from the younger people the younger kids that were brought into this country, or we gave birth to in this country, they look at this dowry as a cost price, as a sales price.
Yes.
And so they say, why do we have to give money? It is a laugh between me
and my girlfriend.
My girlfriend,
yes.
or my boyfriend. Why are you asking for a price? And so this is the dilemma where we are. And so those who marry and look at it as a
Sales
cost
price,
price,
yes.
a sales price.
You are selling your daughter to me.
Yes, and then creates a lot of unnecessary challenges. Firstly, with the men who decide probably to say, I'm going to look for somebody where I don't have to pay dowry.
Right, yes.
But we can all put our hands together and then work towards that wedding, right? We don't want to fall into any debts because of that.
Yes.
That is one side.
Yes.
The other side again is these parents looking at it as an opportunity, because it is no more a symbol of appreciation as it used to be back in the countryside. It has become a way of generating wealth. So
for
you
the
have more
parents
girls
and not for the girls.
For the
Yeah.
parents.
That's so sad.
Because you have more girls, you're going to get more money.
More cows.
So really now it falls into the belief of these young men that this is not dowry, it is a sales price. It is the cost that I'm paying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Patricia, what have you also seen in our present culture here in Canada with our immigrant families?
I think it's easier if you are marrying somebody from your tribe or from your country because the cultures are similar. But if you are to marry from a different tribe, or if you are to marry from somebody from a different country, the rules are different.
Yes.
And also, the kids here and the culture here, whatever you charge, they think you are selling your daughter.
Yes.
So those are some of the challenges that we have as a people. And if that's so, what can we do? What can we change?
Very good. And that is why we are here today. If you just join us, this is Sizwe Podcast. We are talking about dowries. It is the bride price we pay to the women that we want to bring into our family. In our culture, it is the men who pay that. But when we bring them here, you know the laws in Canada allows them, our young adults, to marry in any form. There's something they call common law partner. There's something that you can just take your girlfriend and two of your friends posting as your family member to go to the law court and sign, and they still get the marriage certificate and they are married. What does that left us, the family who are carrying our cultures and our traditions back home here? We don't want our kids to just go by, just walk into any law court and get married. But if we make it so difficult, like what Joseph just said, that I need a value of 50 cows for my daughter, then it doesn't really become the honoring of our daughter, but we are really selling our daughter to the man who is going to come into your family, and you are leaving them debt that they will never pay. That is why all of us are our parents. We want to maintain our culture, but how do we marry the two? What do you think we can tell potential parents like us? I have a son who is 25 years. Patricia, if my son is coming to your family to marry, is that what you're telling me?
You know, as parents, we have to be open enough to think of the future of our children and where we are. Because at this point in time, I'm going to say 10 cows, and you check the price of a cow here, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
Let's be aware that now we are in Canada, and this is our child's future, and be considerate and be able to adjust, because this thing is for appreciation.
Yes, I like that.
We can still get
making.
appreciated without having to charging crazy money that people want now. Let's think of the future of our children more than the money.
Yes.
And also, if you look, and we have a culture that says, and some people consider that how educated their child is, that's how they are charging.
No, I will bring you to that. I told you, if you are listening to us, this is Sizwe podcast. I knew this topic cannot be exhausted in one sitting. So we are going to take a break here, and when we come back, I want you to touch on that, because there are people who said, my daughter is a graduate. My daughter has a first degree or second degree, and because of that, they use that to cost the amount of bride price that they want to. We will tell you real life stories that we have come across here in Canada when we go to the next session. Thank you so much. We are talking about bride price. We are talking about bride price back home. And now we are here as parents. How do we help our young ones to also perpetuate our names and not just run away from the community and go for the cheap one? We will get back.
This is Sizwe podcast again. Today I have with me Agnes, my co-host, and our guest today is Joseph Yuri, and we are on the topic Dowry. We call it Dowry in your country?
Yes.
Dowry.
Dowry, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I think those of you who are following us from the first segment, we talk about what dowries are back home, and now we are bringing it here to Canada. Patricia was just talking about how people make it like depending on the level of education. I want you to repeat that, then I would like Joseph to also add what he knows in our community. The level of education brings up the number of cows.
The number of cows. Which is very sad for our children, because if we are to consider how my child is educated, we are putting a price to the child. Now, this education is now something that is no longer a blessing.
No.
Because when you start saying those kind of things, think of your child, think of the family of the boy.
Yes.
If it's the boy who's paying the bride price, and it's not fair.
It's true.
It's not fair, because now you are putting, first of all, when you tell me, my daughter is educated, I'm thinking, so my son is not educated enough. So you're thinking you are doing a favor for my son to marry. That alone brings tension between families.
Yes, it's true.
So instead of thinking that way and doing things the wrong way, we think we are doing culture. That's no longer culture.
No.
So it's no longer culture. Let's just throw it out
and set our own, because like if it's a culture, like for me, like the example I gave, the family only takes that bottle of drink and put it away. Blessing if that drink never got caught, or if I don't say I don't want the marriage again. But if you are saying your daughter is a graduate, your daughter is a doctor, is an engineer, so then let's double then where is the culture?
You are doing your responsibility.
Yes.
By educating our kids, that's our responsibility. We wanted that. The kids wanted that. So let's not make it a punishment to the next person who's coming to marry your child. Because what happens most of the time, the unfortunate thing, we spoil these relationships.
We do.
And it has broad implications in some of the South Sudanese tribes like mine, where they ask for school fees. And the reasoning is, please, we don't pay school fees because this lady has already completed education.
They ask for school fees as part of the bride price.
That's something you have to give as part of the bride price, because my girl has gone to school, you got to pay my school fees. But the reasoning now is she's dropped out of school or she has graduated. So why do I have to pay?
Yes.
If you had engaged her to drop out of school or she left school, He say, well, I was investing in her to make her better, but you have disappointed us, so bring back my investment. Which I think still is unfair.
I think that is in our culture too. For example, if I am in school and a man impregnates me,
Yes.
then my family has to insist on you, the man, reimbursing the family for creating that kind of. Now you have stopped her from going to school, and they force you to marry their daughter, but that is not part of the actual bride price that you pay. But this is not what you are saying.
That goes direct to the dad. So it's not part of the bride price.
No.
The relatives don't look at it.
No.
This goes to dad and mom who have invested. But here comes now the turning point. These days, the young people have turned the stones upside down.
Mm-hmm.
One family had a very terrible experience. They asked for school fees. And the gentleman said, okay, I'm going to pay the school fees. And he paid the school fees that was requested. Now, the father-in-law became sick. And of course, that money was used already.
Yes.
And he wanted and say, well, I want, you to help me, my son. I am sick. I want to go for treatment. What the son-in-law said was, I have already paid the school fees. Those are your resources for helping yourself. And the daughter was here that, well, I'm going to help dad. And they said, no, you cannot help dad because you have been brought to improve the welfare of this family. Your dad has been given everything he demands. So a lot of the families now are moving away from calling school fees as a consequence of this.
Yes.
Yeah, so even now, the daughter in the family have no right. So then it collaborates what Patricia is saying is that if you do that, you are almost like selling your daughter completely into this family to the point where even when you need help, your daughter have no right to send money to help you.
Yeah. That is exactly what is happening. And again, it results into things that are terrible because a lady married into this family now because of the bride price is now expected to give birth to as many kids as possible and work harder. And so if you come and you give birth to one child or zero, and then you have no place in this family.
Wow.
You will be mistreated all the time. Words thrown at you. And
Not just because you are barren, but because you're supposed to produce to commensurate the amount of bride price that the man paid. Patricia, you see?
So
which wasn't...
it was not the intention, but because of the thirst and the hunger of the parents commercializing these, now that has become the objective. And what is happening is now we as parents are contributing to disintegrating this relationship, which is not our relationship. It is their relationship.
But we thought we have invested so much into the girl, so much so that we need to be reimbursed at the time of marriage.
Isn't that parenting? Isn't that taking care of your children?
That is,
That's part of being a parent.
Yes.
You take care of your children, you send them to school. But let's not use that as a trap as a people. We are better than that.
We are. Guys, if you are just joining us, this is Sizwe Podcast, and we are talking about dowries. The first segment talk about dowries back home. I explained the one that I know from my country, Ghana. Joseph Lurie talk about a tribe in South Sudan. Patricia talk about in the belly in Zimbabwe. And today we are bringing it here, like in Canada. What are the stories that you have heard? We as parents want to encourage our young ones to marry from our community, but we have a word for the parents who are commercializing it. I don't want to do that. Is there any stories that have come in our community that you know of that we can use as an example? What I said is that in Canada, the laws is so silent on dowry. So if I tell my son that, I want you to marry from my country, Ghana, and then he brings this girl home, we go to see the family, and the family say we went 70 cars. You know what? Me, I got only one drink. I will tell my son, let's run.
The young men are inventing something that they're trying to bypass the parents. What they do is, they call it, marriage live-in. And so
what is that? Marriage live-in.
So what happens is the gentleman and the lady agrees and they go. And this has been just recently in Toronto. a gentleman wanted to marry the girl, and they came to that family. And so they started, the family started calling this exorbitant
Yes.
dowry. What happened was the gentleman said, I cannot afford. And so this is the end of the story. And the girl rose up and said, well, I want to speak.
Oh.
And so they gave her the opportunity to speak. And she said, Dad and Mom and all of you gathered here, I respect you.
I have
but
goose from here.
the relationship is between me and this gentleman. And so thank you for rejecting him because he doesn't have what you want. But I'm going to follow him and I'm going.
It's like eloping, but this time I'm telling you that I'm running away with him.
Yes.
and you know where we live.
Yeah, and also that's going to happen as we abuse our culture. That's going to happen, and we'll be disappointed.
Yes.
And now our boys won't marry in our tribes.
No.
They will go marry other people. Here they have options.
Yeah.
And if you're
Common law
lucky,
partner is
yeah.
even there.
And if we are lucky, if they are marrying somebody black from Africa, but if we are making it so difficult, they will move. They have a lot of options.
Yes.
And there are a lot of other people from all over the world that they can marry. So we also want to grow our families. We want to grow the black community.
Yes.
But let's make it easy for our children.
And that bring us to the next segment that we want to. What are the practical? For me, I think I'll still take the head drink and take it home to go and give it to my dad. But in cultures where we are talking about cows and this number of cows and goat and sheep, how best can the parents? Sometimes they don't know. How can we reinvent it, modify it so that at least it makes it more appreciable price for the young men who want to marry into our community to pay? Do you have any idea that they can do? Because some people are conservative. They want the 50 cow, the actual amount that commensurate with 50 cow and nothing else. What advice do we have for them?
Well, we simply have to reduce the number of animals involved, like the cows. Here, one cow is $1,000 or more than 1,000. So if you are to pay 10, you are talking about $10,000 to $15,000.
Which pays for a down payment for a house?
Exactly.
Yes.
And so we need to really look at this critically and say, for example, in my village or in my tribe, a cow would cost the equivalent of 300 Canadian dollars.
Oh, okay.
So why don't we do that with the local exchange rate where we are coming from?
Okay.
Instead of saying, I am in Canada, I need 10 cattle, and each is 1,500, give me 15,000. It is a symbol. We should not use it as a way to enrich ourselves. And even I would go further and say, for example, in my tribe, it is that sheep that is needed because it's a blessing for the marriage.
The marriage.
Yes. And so if you do that, nothing else will be asked. Because if you continue to ask, we all know how hard it is to make the money. And so where do we expect these guys
This
to
young
go
boy,
make
young
the
people,
money?
yes.
Some of these guys have been tempted to go, and they go do drugs because they want to make money, right? And so they can pay the dowry.
That's
but
so
in the
sad,
process,
yes.
it becomes a hobby, it becomes a business. The next thing is one is in jail, or the bullets have shattered one's head. So we need to probably rethink the issue of dowry and just completely leave it out so that we can continue our heritage. Otherwise, I'm afraid we will be losing our heritage because our boys will be going to marry elsewhere.
Out of the community, yes.
And our girls will also be marrying elsewhere. And so our lineage is going to end. We definitely don't discourage, and we are not against intermarriages. But on the first generation, and I see my son go marry from outside, and then my grandchildren marry from somewhere, it's the end of the lineage. I'm nowhere to be seen in that picture.
No.
And this is what we are saying, that for us to be able to keep our culture, as this is a country of different cultures, so we also maintain ours, we don't diminish. Let's marry in our community. Let's marry where we feel that we are growing our culture.
By making it accessible, not too hard for these young men. Patricia,
I don't think we should abolish it altogether.
Yes.
I'm still for it. But I'm looking at it in terms of being reasonable.
Yeah, I like what Joseph said, that if you look at the price of cow from my country, for example, and we translate it, that it's more affordable for the young man. But if you are looking at a cow here, which is 1,000 to 1,005, and you want 7, or even you want 2, plus all the other things. So Joseph is not saying we should abolish it altogether. Let us find what works here.
Yeah, what works here, and be considerate and think of the prices here of things.
Yes.
And also, let's not commercialize it.
The beautiful thing I find in my culture, for example, most of the things that the family asks for, at the end of the day, your dad will call you into the room and give everything to you as the woman.
Oh, really?
Yes. With the exception of that drink, I don't know what they do with it, they keep. But most of the gifts that are collected for you, for your mothers, and from your aunt and all these things, they call you and they tell you, this is the capital we are giving to you as a girl to go and start your marriage life. So I don't know what the parents here do. Do you, after you take all these 15 cows, do you give it to your daughter to go and help the new husband to buy a house, or you just use it to make yourself big and to take a trip back home to show off? I don't know why you are collecting 50 cows here when your daughter is going to struggle with a young man in an apartment. That for me, if you are taking it from my concept, I've seen it many times in my community back home in Ghana, that they take the bride price and all the gifts and they use it as a seed capital for their daughter to go into the marriage. Would you be able to do that? I am asking.
Ours is different. It won't happen. We don't give it.
We don't give it.
We take from my tribe in South Sudan. We take and we keep it. So the practice is, this girl is going to stay in that family, and when she is a child, now she is a mother in that family. So it will be up to her aunties to give her some of those necessary things that she would now be starting a real family. At that point, without a child, you are considered you have not started a family. You are with your mother-in-law. And so that is, again, another difference. But it would be beautiful for us to even collect this and give it back to them to start their family. But unfortunately, we take it, and then we wait for that wedding, and we want a lavish wedding. So we push them further into debts. And then that family begins on a shaky ground.
It is.
This is the problem. This is the cry of the young men. And this is what we are doing that is not right in the interest of these young men.
Thank you. If you just join us, this is Sizwe Podcast. We are talking about bride price. Back home in my country, it was different. We are here in Canada in a multicultural society. We want to maintain the name and our lineage. But there are something that we are doing which is not right, like asking 50 cows from the young man who is coming to marry from our family. And that's why these parents, we are potential parents. Very soon, in 3 years, you see me, my son will be getting married, and I don't want to be a hindrance. Joseph Lurie doesn't want to be a hindrance, and Patricia Gumbo doesn't want to be a hindrance. We have to find a middle way, and that's what we are talking about here today. Do you have anything to add before we bring the curtains to a close?
Yeah, the beauty of being here in Canada is that we have different cultures.
Yes.
And let's take what is good in Canada and what is good in our countries and mix it. And there are some things, and let's be open to adjustments.
Yes.
Because if I am to charge the money that I would charge in Zimbabwe, those cows, it's not going to work, and it's going to cause problems between me and my daughters. And I want them to be happy. I want my son-in-law to love me.
Let's keep talking about it.
Let's be open to adjustments and changing. Life is changing. Everything is changing. So why are we not open to changing when we are already in Canada? So let's help our children and get our lives to be at a better place and having better relationships.
Exactly. I would say as a dad, I wouldn't want to be seen to be the one contributing to pushing away this son from where his interest is. This beautiful girl that he has loved. Now he can't go and marry just because of the exorbitant dowry. And so I don't want my son-in-law to look at me as an enemy and say, you know what, you deprived me. And so here is a boundary.
Yes, don't come to my house.
A family. The intent for us, for this marriage, is to bring these two families together. And now we are one. Yes. But with the dowry, exorbitant dowry, yes, we are making this to be two distinct families, and we are even setting them to begin with failure.
Yes, and if you don't take care, because of the laws being silent on dowries in Canada, they will rather elope, and they will not elope, like Joseph was saying. Is it a live-in marriage?
Yeah.
Yeah, they will be practicing a live-in marriage. Then you don't even get a penny for all the things that you brought off, and they will still be enjoying their life. But is that an honor to us as a family? No. Thank you so much for being part of today's session, and I think the conversation will continue, and we will change what we are putting as a barrier and a border between our young adults and getting married to other girls in our community. We want our name to continue in the next 10 and 20 generations. Thank you for joining us today.